3, 2, 1, go.
That was quick. All right, so we're back, episode 74 of Cutler Cast.
Doesn't it feel like we haven't done this in forever?
It has been a minute because we've been on a crazy, what'd Larry just call it? What'd you say? What'd you call our trip? It was like, we've been at a different time warp, it seems like, because we've been all over the planet.
I know. You know what's weird? Like, I've been home for kind of like a week.
Yeah. You're still playing catch up.
Yeah. My sleep is still really crappy. And like, I'm staying up till 2 or 3 in the morning.
One of the downfalls, I was on the East Coast for a week, so I just came back from Boston. And, you know, I've been, like, last night we were speaking till like 10 o'clock. And I'm like, I'm going to bed. And I got off the phone with you and I was like, damn, like, I'm old. If I'm telling you I'm going to bed at 10 o'clock, because I never go to bed at 10. And I think I slept 8 hours last night. I think I woke up at 7 o'clock. I must have fell asleep by 11. So, yeah, I slept like 8 hours.
I think I went to sleep at like 12:30 or 1, and I woke up at 5.
It did feel like 1 o'clock in the morning when I was talking to you at 10 o'clock. But we've had kind of a crazy schedule.
So you went to Boston.
I had the Jay Cutler Boston show. So, it's crazy this month because we had the Cutler Vegas was the beginning of April, and then we had the Cutler Boston, which was the end of the month. And we did FIBO, and did we do FIBO in between?
Yeah,
I forget. See, that's what I mean. So April was just wild.
Yeah, we did FIBO 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
We were in Germany.
Yeah, so it's been wild with travel. And have we even talked about? Yeah, we talked a little bit about FIBO.
Yeah, we
right?
did. We did.
Okay.
Now we've done one since then.
Okay.
I'm trying to think. I'm like, damn, what is it? FIBO. No, FIBO was 3 weeks ago.
Yeah, so I was actually looking forward to going to Boston because I got to see my family a little bit, went back to my brother's, where, he raises the cattle and everything, and, they're doing the concrete business. They did tell me, though, which I was shocked even months prior, they said, we're looking at like a 2-year window of probably getting close to retiring, which I never thought I'd actually hear, but my brothers are in their one's in his mid-60s, but they said that right now the economy there, where there's not a lot of building going on, so people aren't really taking loans to build houses
because the interest is so high.
But they did tell me the cost of foundations are like through the roof. Like it used to be. I mean, they said it can cost $40,000 to lay a foundation now, which is wild.
And what was it before?
I remember when it was $10,000.
Wow. I haven't.
The cost of concrete's gone up.
New house, so I don't know.
Yeah, it's crazy, but so they had, this has been, kind of a spring where they haven't really been bombarded with work. I think everything they said was going to be ready at once, but it was great to go back and spend a little time. Got to see my mom, my stepfather, and my sisters, and I got to visit with my brother's son. But I was kind of looking forward to staying in the city. The show was very successful, probably the best one we had since the pandemic.
I was just going to ask you which one was busier, Vegas or Boston.
We had a lot of great vendors. Shout out to Nate at Gym Hub. He got me a lot of nice sponsors. He was the title sponsor of the event, and we had a lot of new faces there that were exhibiting in their booths, and and Steve always brings a great crew down. The weather was great on that day. It wasn't too bad. We had some rain a little bit around that, but a lot of new competitors. We had a great turnout. I think we had almost 100 bodies, but with crossovers it was closer to 200. And we had a great audience, which was super. So there's a lot of action going on in the lobby. Another success. I mean, that show has been around forever. The crazy part is I used to guest pose at this contest. And Maureen came out.
Yeah, I saw she went out there with Muscle Tech.
Yeah, and, Muscle Tech brought her out, but Gym Hub had her there. She was at ANC. Shout out to ANC. Pete over there who had her at the store on Friday. But it was great to see her. She's been really busy, as Miss Olympia now, and she's doing a great job representing that title, and kind of excited. It seems like she's going into her early mindset as she kind of preps and gets ready. I know they're taking a trip to Norway. And
they're there. I think they're there now for her best friend's wedding or something. I saw her post something.
But they're going to be over there for a minute. But she's been doing a lot of stuff, and Muscle Tech has her busy, and it seems like they're making a kind of a surge again. And
did you do anything else? Anything else while you're there? Anything?
Yeah, we walked. We ate at a couple places. We went to the aquarium, which Angie was on. It was on our bucket list to go. We talked about actually going to New Hampshire, Maine. We didn't really get up there just because the weather wasn't permitting in the time schedule. Like every day, it seemed like, between I was on my workout schedule. I mean, I'm starting obviously the transformation, which I'll talk about, but we got to just kind of walk around. We actually walked the most we ever have distance, and we walked down to Newbury Street, and we stayed at the W, which was awesome. And like I said, the show was a super success.
Yeah.
You were away at the same time, though.
Yeah, I went to South Carolina, Myrtle Beach, for Brian Shaw's last World's Strongest Man. And it sucked. The first day we got there, the weather was just raining the whole day. So they had to postpone. Then the guys had to do their first event and finals was the deadlift. No, they carried this big thing in the rain. They carried this 430-pound shield, and the guys,
how they do that?
They just do it. I don't know.
How many guys compete in the World's Strongest Man?
There's I think 40 or 50 start. The preliminaries are throughout the week, and then
so you qualify.
You have to get to the finals.
Okay,
that's why when they would say Brian had 15 straight finals, because there's a guy that could get second. They could get second. The reigning, strongest man in the world could technically not make it. He could have 2 or 3 bad, or he'd get hurt on one or 2 or 3 bad events, and he might not make it to the finals. So you have to qualify to get. It's you have to get through the ranks. So for Brian to have 15th straight, I don't know if anyone can ever top that.
Let me ask you a question. So you're saying that you don't have to do qualifying events in order to go there?
You do.
And try out?
You have to do a qualifying event to get to the World's Strongest Man. But once you get there,
you still have
to qualify to get to the finals. So I think if you've won, I'm not 100% sure on this. If you win the Arnold, you get an automatic bid.
Okay.
If you do these shows around the world, automatic bid. If you have, I think if you're a former World's Strongest Man, you get an automatic bid. But once you're there, there's 5 heats of 10 guys, and the 2 that win their heat go to the finals. So you getting to the finals isn't guaranteed.
Yeah, it's funny when we visit with Brian, and obviously we did podcasts together and whatever. He's like I talked about him being a pioneer along with Eddie, and the History Channel had that big segment on, and we had Nick on here also, right? But it's I remember the days when Bill Kazmaier was doing the World's, and then of course he became a commentator for it. But I just remember Kazmaier bending the bar and doing crazy stuff. And you said the challenges get harder and harder. It seems like. Didn't you say that the weight? I don't know what that's
the
called.
weight is just crazy. They did it was
the circus dumbbell or something.
They had one that was 330 pounds. I don't even. It was the handle's this big.
Yeah.
I don't know how you could even hold it, but. It was, seeing Brian.
You got to be 6-something and have a huge hand.
You have to have massive hands. You have to be taller because you can't get it next to your shoulder. And
there's no guys my height competing, are there? 5'9"?
No,
it's all
no.
6
I mean,
feet plus.
a small guy's 6'1".
Yeah,
a small. I think I'm forgetting his name. The guy from Ukraine. He won in 2020. He's about my height, little over 6 foot, maybe 6'1". Mm-hmm. And other than that. Most of the guys are 6'4", 6'5". There's 3 or 4 guys that are Brian's height, 6'8", 6'9". But just to see him be able to, obviously he didn't win, and for him to be able to just go out on his own terms was a big deal.
And he's 40 right now,
40 or 41.
Okay,
yeah. So for him to go that long, I mean, you got to push your body. He's going to do one more show. His final show will be his show at the Shaw Classic in August, but that was his final World's Strongest Man.
So any of these physiques that you see there, we've seen strongman, the physiques kind of change somewhat, and guys get leaner. Some of these guys are crazy strong, and they have great physiques, right?
Yeah.
Mario Puzanowski was one of those guys. That
Hafthor was. Hafthor had a 6-pack at 400 pounds.
And did any of the guys have crazy physiques lean, or do you always have to have enough cushion to...
They're not crazy lean, but there's guys that you could tell if they got lean would look cartoonish. If they got lean. If Brian got lean, he would be cartoonish. We were just talking about this the other day. Brian's one of the few guys that actually has arms like a bodybuilder, where a lot of guys that are strongmen, they don't train their arms as much as you would think. They got huge back, huge legs, huge chest, shoulders, but there's not a ton of arm train. I mean, there is, but their arms are so not developed, where Brian's arms are probably bigger than any pro bodybuilders.
Yeah.
Now, obviously, he's a bigger person. He's 430 pounds or whatever. But no, it was good. We got to go down there, and then we saw the it was funny. So Brian did, and this is something that I've preached a ton to people, to don't forget about your fan base. You know, this is something you've always done. There's very few people that do this. So they come off, it's his final thing. He says bye to the crowd, and everyone runs off. And Brian's standing back there, and he looks over, and he sees a line forming. And he just gave me that look, and he was just like, I'm not leaving.
Yeah.
And he sat there. This is at about 4 p.m. on Sunday. We sat there till the sun went down, and he was there for another hour. So for 5 hours, the line went around the corner, down the street, down the beach. As far as you could see, there was a line of people that stood there to see him, and he saw every single person. And he had an appearance the next day. So the next day at the appearance, while we're in this appearance, this guy and this girl come up, and they're like, "Oh, if you ever want to see some animals, you know, we have a zoo." And I'm like, "Okay, that could be something cool." So I hand his card over to Carrie, Brian's wife, and she starts talking with him. Next thing you find out, if you saw the Lion King, or was that what? Yeah, Tiger King.
Yeah, Tiger King.
The guy Doc that was in it with the long gray hair, it was his place, and it was right there in Myrtle Beach. So they it was not open that day, so they opened it just for Brian and Eddie to come in there, and they filmed, and we got to see the biggest
all the pictures,
liger in the world that's like 300 or 960 pounds. We got to see monkeys and elephants and alligators and wolves and all kinds of, so it was like a really cool, it was just a cool day to be able to go.
And how long did you spend there?
Maybe 3-4 hours. They had a lot more animals that we just did that we were not, familiar. Like, we weren't able to go see all the other tigers. They said they have like 50 tigers. They got like 20.
I never knew there was that big of a wild park there or whatever.
Yeah. It was definitely, it wasn't anything I wasn't expecting, but it ended up being one of the more fun days I've ever had in my life.
Let me ask you this. What was the craziest thing one of the fans brought for him to sign? Like, do they bring weights, or do they bring?
Yeah, they do. Fuck, someone brought a...
you sent me a picture of something. I forget what it was.
Someone brought a sword.
Yeah.
They had him sign a sword. People just have him sign the weirdish, just weird stuff. I know there was something else I'm missing, but a kid brought a clock.
Yeah.
It was like, and I said, "Yo, dude, did you stand in line with a clock?" It was like a big clock, like a cuckoo clock.
Yeah.
And he was like, "Well, it was in my car, so I wanted to sign this."
That's funny.
I said, "Okay, bro, whatever." But we stayed at that appearance for another 5 or 6 hours. But you and I talk about this all the time, and you practice it. You don't just talk it. There's so many guys that when I saw all the other strongmen just leave the fans. At the end of the day, you have to remember, if it wasn't for the fans, you wouldn't have a career. You wouldn't have this. And if it means you spend an extra couple hours there to sign stuff, to take pictures with these fans, this means the world to them. Some of these people might have driven, one of the guys in there drove from Edmonton. He's like, "Yeah, I drove 40 hours to come down here to come see your final World's Strongest Man."
It's crazy.
Like, imagine if Brian would have just walked off. The fact that he stood there to see all these fans that are there for you.
I think they come, though, without the expectations like, "Oh, I'm going to get to spend a amount of time or whatever." Yeah. You know what I mean? I mean,
they do, but if you go above and beyond, people remember that.
Yeah, I just wonder, when I retired, I knew 2013 was my last. I actually, I never really told this story. In 2011, I remember, when I did my routine, and Peter McGuff brought this up to me. If you watch the video when I did the posing routine, mm-hmm. I actually touched the stage, and I was like, because I thought it would be my last, that was my plan. And McGuff actually said to me, you made a gesture at the end, and you kind of swept the stage and whatever. Was that your calling out? Is that it? And I said, I don't know. I think so, because remember, I wanted to win 5, and I tore the bicep, and Phil was running the show then. And then, of course, I came back in 13. But I always wonder what Brian's mindset, because knowing that he's still at that level, and how you go from eating like he does and training and that mental state you go through, because I went through that for a minute, like where I was like, I still got some gas, right?
Yeah.
But at the same time, you have to look at what your competition is, and I don't know how he finished at this thing.
So Brian, there's more to the backstory to it. Brian got 7th.
Yeah.
Which still, you're the 7th strongest man on the planet at 41 years old. Like these guys that are at the front, they were in middle school when Brian was competing.
I know, but the thing is this is the point I'm making is. When people, it's still to this day, people are like, hey, come back and compete.
Yeah.
You got to understand, when you reach the pinnacle and you're the best at what you do, it's really hard for you to reverse and say, well, if I just do this, I can do well. Well isn't good enough, right? No. I would win Olympias and be like, okay, who was closest to me? How can I distance myself? It was never good enough.
I think this last couple years, Brian was right there. Like the last year, he missed by one, or not the last year, he got 3rd the year before. He missed it by a second winning. So when you're right there, it keeps you pushing. I think him getting 7th this time, and me watching it from the outside looking in, you can just see it's time for him to hang him up. Not that he can't be competitive. On any given day, he could still win, but what he has to put his body through, is it worth it? Is it worth it? For what? To make 75 grand? Like, I think he looked at it. Plus, I don't know if people watch his social media. So in January, Brian got a tiny cut, he thinks, from deadlifting on his calf. Well, he wears compression socks a lot. He got a staph infection, and they don't know exactly what it came from, but they're, just in talking with him, it could have been from just sweat getting in there and whatnot. It got so bad, he almost lost his leg in January. He was in the hospital for 8 days. And when you look at him, you can still see there's an issue there. The fact that he even got there, knowing that the guy almost lost his leg 3 months ago from a staph infection, in itself was an amazing feat. But it was good to just be there for his.
It sounds like he's got a lot of great things going on. That his transition will be similar to mine. It's kind of funny because we have a lot of similarities in our career, right? I mean, 4-time champ, right? And I finished 6th, my last. He's 7th, So when you were just saying this, he finished 7th. I'm like, oh my gosh, I got 6th, the last one. And
no, we always joke about that. You guys, there's a Brian Shaw in the NBA. There's a Jay Cutler. You got 3 Arnolds. He got 3 Arnolds. You guys are so alike. And me being around both of you, I see the similarities. It's just like, it's almost eerie. It's like he is the strongman version.
And the funny thing is, if you guys go back and watch it, like he was working the desk at the gym when I went out there, and they charged me.
He got mad. You charged him. But it was. I mean, look, he's got so much going on that from the brands he owns. I mean. I don't know if he has a supplement company, accessory companies with Trifecta. He's got so many things going on. The Brian Shaw Classic has all the top guys. So if somebody didn't make it to the World's Strongest Man, every one of the top guys is there. And it's in Loveland, Colorado, just north of Denver. They're going to have an expo attached to it in the near future.
When is it?
It's the second or third week of August.
Okay.
It's the weekend after Anaheim, I think. 2nd or 3rd week of August. And
it's a show. It's the weekend of my show. My show's the 12th.
I think you're in Charlotte.
No, I'm in Virginia for the Jay Cutler Classic.
So in the future, he's going to it's going to be a large expo. They'll probably end up moving it maybe to Denver one day and whatnot. But it was just a cool, us being around the bodybuilding world. Strongman is still, it's just right there. They're at all the big expos. When we're in Australia, they're there when we have breakfast and we see them training and we see this. So we've always seen Brian for years. He would be at the same expos, at the same events, at the same everything. And just knowing that, man, while these bodybuilders are competing, Brian was chasing titles in his perspective, lane of, what I always say, the fitness ecosphere. He's right there. Ecosystem. What ecosphere? Made a word up. Ecosystem. And he's always been right there. So us seeing all this, seeing him retire and going out the way he wanted to. And like he said, it wasn't the way he envisioned him go. He envisioned winning his fifth, like you were chasing your fifth, but he got to go out in his own terms, which I think is a big deal.
Yeah, I mean, I think in a sense I wanted to get out with winning, but
yeah, no, he said the same thing. He's like, this isn't how I envisioned it. I envisioned it me getting my fifth title and walking off in the sunset, but it is what it worked out the way it did.
Yeah, and that's the thing. You transition to other things. Like I always say, when you put that much effort into something and you're so great at it, think about everything else is easy after that. Yeah. That's the thing. If you can just put that amount of effort into one thing or two things. I mean, I'm kind of spread out with the things, but like that's what my mindset was so crazy, and to be able to shift gears. And I still, training is a big part of my life, but I don't have any thought process of ever competing or even thinking that my physique.
Why, yeah, right. I thought you were doing the Masters.
Yeah.
But you know what though? Like I thought about this, and I even talked to him a little bit about it. I said, you got to think about it. For the last 15 years, probably 20 years of your life, everything you did was revolved around eat, train. And those guys train way harder than bodybuilders. Their sessions are 3 hours, and they're intense for 3 hours. And the amount of food they eat, and this, like, all of a sudden, you don't have to eat as much food. You don't have to do 3 hour sessions.
So I wonder what his trifecta bill will be now.
For,
a lot less.
I hope so. Well, I mean, whatever. It doesn't work. He's part of the team, but it might go down a little bit. But as his boys get bigger, right. I mean, his kids are going to be bigger than him. Yeah. So they were like, one's just turned 5, and they're already like you little adults, and they're still little kids. But so this week we have Pittsburgh coming up.
Yes.
So what do you think's going to be the noise from this? What is going to be the chatter? Make a prediction.
I think Derek's going to wow people again. I think Nick's on a mission. I just saw somewhere today that Nick said something about it. I just was breezing through YouTube and I didn't watch it, but it said something about Nick starting prep.
I saw that on YouTube. I think it's him and Sister Nino's channel.
Oh,
I think that's what it was.
So I think Derek will wow people. Will Rami show up? And what will Rami look like? That's the big question. I think Rami will be big as hell.
Probably.
And Samson will be big. We've seen pictures of him.
Yeah, he's massive.
I think he's going to scare some people.
Probably. Well, it looks like the computer died. It was plugged in.
You'll fix it. So just edit this, right?
No, I'm not going to edit it.
Yeah. So I think Rami will be huge. Samson will be huge. Nick will be huge. Derek will be crazy, and I think better condition than last year because he's going to have more muscle.
I actually think Nick will be the most conditioned one there because Nick, I see he looks.
Who else is guest posing? Do we have the list of guys?
I don't know who else.
Like Hottie's not there.
It's Hunter.
Yes, Hunter.
Yeah. I think Chris Bumstead's going to go just to go.
Yeah.
But I'm not sure who else will be. Who else will be there? But it'll be. I mean, I'm sure it'll be a good guest posing.
Yeah, I mean, I expect the house to come down, man. I wish I was going to be there. I was there last year, and that was quite a show last year. So
yeah, I didn't make it last year. This year, the first year, they're not having it the same weekend as the race, so it made it a little bit easier to.
Well, the next week's the New York Pro.
Okay.
And you don't have any of those guys competing in New York Pro, which is sometimes, there's a guy a week or two before that's going to compete. I thought Samson, he'll go to the New York Pro. I think he's coming.
Just going to go like guest pose or something?
No, just to go support it,
Okay, well, that's good.
I think he's coming to the States for a minute. And seems like he's been doing a lot of...
he's been doing a lot of traveling.
Events, yeah.
Yeah, that's good. That's good for him.
I saw Milos this morning, and I was asking him. I know he's got his 212 guy going into the contest, into the New York Pro, so that's great.
Yeah.
He should do really well. He looks good. You've seen him in the gym, right?
Yes. I've seen him a couple times. I don't know who else is doing the New York Pro in other divisions. I haven't seen.
Is Sergio going to make it is the question.
I don't know. I wish he would. I mean, seeing the pictures of him, he looks big as a house.
Yeah.
And he looks like looked like he made a lot of improvements. I'm not sure what show he's planning on doing. I know.
Yeah, when they used to have these, we would see the build up for these contests. We would really be able to follow that in the magazines, and now it's a little different with social media because I don't know if they released the list. I don't know if it's even come out yet who's guaranteed to show up, right?
I'm not sure yet. They used to put it out, but I think a lot of people sign up like last minute.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I mean, look, Sergio looks like he's in shape to do it. You know, I don't know what other big names are doing it or not. You know what's crazy when you look at the like the amount of shows this year. Obviously, the Olympia last year was like 14 months. This year, it's going to be less. It'll be like 10 months because it was in December. Now it's in November. Well, 11 months. So there's going to be less chances to qualify. But we haven't seen one of these big names that has done one of these shows yet.
Well, we have Canada and New York and California after that, right?
Yep. There's going to be
Ian's going to compete there.
I'm not sure what. Yeah, I'm not sure who's going to do what show. But there's not.
Seems like Texas is going to be a packed show.
There's not as many shows as in past going as the last year, and there's a bunch of guys that are not qualified. There's a lot of big names that are like top 10 guys that have to qualify.
Well, who do you think is going to be the surprise of 2023?
Like at the Olympia?
No, I'm just saying in general. Do you think some of these newcomers? Like this guy that won the USA last year, Stu. You think he can be?
Maybe, possibly. I still think the person that's going to be the biggest at the end of the year, the biggest push. I think it's going to be Andrew. I just think if he puts on a little bit, he could win, and it looks like he's doing
Texas too, right?
I'm not sure.
I think he's doing Texas.
It could be, yeah. And Texas is what, August? So then it's 90 days before it's within 3 months of the Olympia.
What'd you think of Michael Creaso guest posing?
He looks gigantic.
Yeah, huge, right?
But it looks like he's, his arms are even bigger. It's like they're big enough.
I know there was that picture going around that they said they photoshopped, but I don't think someone did it, not him.
Oh, okay.
But he looks crazy, right?
Yeah. No, I mean, look, there's a lot of shows coming up. I know there's a bunch of European shows. I'm not sure. Outside of, I think Andrew, I think he'll be the big talk throughout the year, just because last year he only competed for 1 year, and for him to be in the top 10 right out the gate, and then going into the Arnold where he was legitimately fighting to win.
You know what was really cool? I was watching kind of an episode, listened to one of these podcasts, and they were talking about Samson, and like he's the most decorated bodybuilding champion since Dorian Yates.
From the UK?
Yes.
He's won the biggest show. Nathan would be the most. Nathan's got 9 pro wins.
Yeah, but I mean, as far as like the biggest
show, yeah.
Yeah.
Because nobody's won the Olympia or the Arnold.
Yeah.
That's it.
Which is crazy.
Yeah. So he's won the biggest show. Nathan won the Arnold UK, but he didn't win the Arnold. He didn't win the Arnold Ohio. So, and that's a long time. But is there any other really big name pros that have came through the UK besides Nathan, Samson, and Hollingshead and Luke?
Yeah, I mean, Luke was there. I mean, you had a lot of guys.
Luke got third at the Arnold?
I mean, obviously UK. I mean, you could look at Kamal, right? Yeah. He's from the UK. I mean, although we kind of look at him in the States now, but he's pretty decorated. Actually.
He's from the UK, but I think he's from Libya, right?
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, that is, and I
thought that was really cool, and Samson was pretty humble about it,
I mean, look, Samson can win the Olympia this year. Yeah. I was listening to some of these podcasts, and you're like, well, if he makes some improvements, I'm like, dude, he just won the Arnold.
He looks so big right now.
If you have won the Arnold, and I know this, the guys that are newer to the industry and haven't been around, in my opinion, the guy who won the Arnold is always the front runner. Mm-hmm. Because usually whoever's Mr. Olympia doesn't, and everyone else goes to the Arnold because they want the paycheck and they want that title and they want to solidify they're the second place guy that's going, or the front runner going in the Arnold. So I look at Samson as a guy 1,000% who can win the Olympia this year.
I mean, how enticing now is if the Arnold stays with that prize money? Obviously, they're probably not going to go backwards, right?
No, they're going to keep it there.
I mean, wow. And then if there's other shows around that Arnold,
why don't you make a comeback?
No. I can't compete with these guys.
They would smoke you.
Yeah.
You know what's funny? I'll read these comments sometimes, and people are serious. And no offense to fans, but they're like, "No, man, you seriously could come back." And I want to be like, "Dude, don't want to see Jay on stage."
That mindset, man. Is like,
I don't care how you can't will yourself.
You know,
for that one.
right now I'm doing like the whole program, and I start actually this weekend is 12 weeks.
Okay.
And I've been eating 6 meals a day.
Have you?
Yeah, I mean, I got the food packed in the fridge over here.
God,
I'm carrying everywhere. So what
you're a Tupperware person
you know,
now.
for the first time since I competed, and Junior, you were there when I competed last. I don't go that far from the house now to get my food.
Yeah.
Because I don't eat out, and I'm really trying to. Obviously,
you could DoorDash.
No, I know it's a little different now, right? But I try to stay close in vicinity so I can eat every 2.5 hours, and that's how I'm staying on track to really get.
Is your weight going up?
I think I'm gaining a little bit, but what I'm doing is I'm getting some volume to my body. So meaning like the workouts are getting better, the pump's getting better. I can tell like the muscles are staying not depleted. You know, when you get depleted from traveling and everything else. Even when I was away, I ate a ton, and I'm not gonna lie, I ate mostly Chipotle.
Yeah,
I was right across from our hotel, so
but
I would get chicken and rice.
You can at least eat decent.
Decent, but not like I wouldn't go diet for a contest on Chipotle.
Yeah.
So I got extra chicken and rice, right? And that's what I pretty much ate like 4 times a day. And then
think of how cheap your travel bill was. Yeah. You know, sometimes you go out to eat and you're like, what the
No, we trust me. We went out a couple times, dude. It was pretty expensive, you know.
What is up with this? You know what? I'm gonna have a gripe right now. Every time I go to a really nice restaurant in Vegas, I spend a fortune and I'm disappointed.
Because you drink alcohol.
No, I had one drink. We went out. We had 2 steaks. We had one little bullshit appetizer with a crab cake this big, 2 drinks, and mushrooms. $400.
Larry, you hear that? $400.
$400, and it wasn't like I left and I wanted to go to.
Guess where he went?
SW.
SW.
Well, no. You should have told me. I would have got him comp there.
Yeah.
But every time I go, and I'm not like being disrespectful to any of these high-end restaurants, but they're bullshit. You know, you can go to Outback.
Well,
or
you said the steak wasn't the best one.
It wasn't bad.
Tell our listeners and our viewers what your idea of the best steak in Las Vegas. Larry, hear this for a second. What the best steak you
in
had?
Las Vegas at Catch.
Yeah, you hear that?
Catch. Have you been there? Yes.
He's over here like shaking
we
his
went
head.
there one night. Me and Regan and Victoria and Brad went there.
He might have had a good like it might have been a.
No, I've been there 3 times and I get the same.
I mean, they're not a steakhouse,
They're
right?
not, but they make like this 16-ounce like this steak. It's
probably loaded with butter and
no, it's loaded with oil and shit for sure.
Yeah.
It's drenched in oil. I think it's floating. But every time we get it, Regan was like, "Damn, that's the best steak I've had in town." It's $80.
See, the problem is though, is like we're trying to eat clean. So like, and I will go to a steak restaurant, and this is a great tip for you guys that go to any high-end steak restaurant. Puts butter and oil or salt on the steak, so you have to tell them to hold the butter on a steak.
Yeah.
And you're going to be surprised because every place is going to be like, okay, we'll hold the butter. Every place does it.
You know, but every time I go to a high-end spot, whenever we go to like Fleming's, I always like the steaks at Fleming's, and it's not
Maybe
cheap.
they use a little more butter, you know.
Maybe it just, I don't know. But yeah, so from now on I'm going to Outback.
Yeah, so I'm doing this. I start this weekend, and I'm eating 6 meals a day.
Okay.
I'm not using a coach. I'm coaching I'm kind of coaching
you're
myself.
You're gonna totally train wreck. You are gonna totally train wreck.
So I might have
maybe Nick Trigili will talk about your coaching service.
I might have you take pictures weekly of me so I can see the change.
Okay. We're gonna put this. We're gonna put this on the internets.
No, I mean I'm doing a whole docu-series.
You know what? You know what though? I told you before, and this isn't an excuse because I really wanted to do it. I haven't been able to train much. My shoulder is so bad. So for those don't know, I had shoulder surgery, and like lately, even like that's as high as it goes, and I can feel it clicking.
You don't stretch or anything though, do you?
I do my best to. I can't stretch, but I went and had. We were at the gym the other day, and one of the therapists was in there, and he worked on a little bit, and he's like, "Your tendons are really like they're really pulling."
You know the tissue work is really important, especially when you're tearing stuff down. Are you hitting the gym today is a question.
Yes, every day I go to the gym and I do my best to work around it. So there's certain movements that I try to do it. Like I was doing triceps the other day and I tried to do kickback, and I couldn't even do it with like a 10-pound dumbbell. I felt the pain. So I just didn't do kickbacks, but I could do push downs and everything else. So I'm doing my best to work around it.
Well, I'm making a priority to kind of just get my workouts in. So I eat one meal. I haven't done cardio fasted. I stopped doing that. I did a little bit after the training today. So I try to get the training in to get in front of everything else so it's done. And then, of course, I come to the office in the afternoon. I handle business early in the morning. And, it's been working really well. I got to train when I was in Boston at Gym Hub and stayed 100% on track, which is the training's the easy part. The nutrition is, and you know this.
That's the hard part
even
for
though
me.
trifecta's like we have unlimited quantity and we have probably the best cuts of meat, right?
Yeah.
I'll probably actually add some fish in there too.
If you need it, we just order it.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I mean, I have been doing 30 to 45 minutes of cardio fasted every day for like the last, even when I was in South Carolina, I did it. I think I've missed it twice in the last month. And the weird thing is I can feel my body tightening up, but my weight is staying the same. And I'm not eating
My
a lot,
question is, though, when you lose that weight, because you're a big body weight, you're like, what, 270,
270,
right?
275, yeah.
Like, are you going to feel like if you don't have the fullness in the muscle and the skin, you know what I mean? The skin, I mean, that's what I kind of dealt with when I downsized. Like, that's a difference. Like, I look good in certain, but like in my back, like, the muscle's not filling out the skin. So I feel like sometimes when I stand, I have like a little folds and stuff, right? Yeah. And I feel like I'm hoping that what's going to do it over this time of dieting, it's going to shrink that a little bit, but also give me a little more fullness to the muscle where I don't really want to get a lot bigger. But I really think, the nutrition is going to play the key in this and having enough protein and obviously carbohydrate mix in there. But, I'm just trying to scale back. I would like to do it with a little lower carbohydrates, even though I was a huge carbohydrate advocate, just because I got bigger on that. Where I'm not trying to be bigger, I'm just trying to be leaner. So that's kind of the goal by the time I finish this thing.
I'll keep training like I can. I'm just going to do cardio. The diet is a little more difficult for me because I enjoy eating. It's not like you eat just because you eat. I don't. I enjoy it. So sometimes it's a little more difficult. And you look in the fridge and you're like,
what's your vice?
Food.
No. What's like? Is it the amounts of sushi? Because I know you eat sushi out. Like, where do you go out to eat?
Sushi usually.
Yeah.
And you know what's really messed up? I just found something out the other night. So there's a spot. So Regan and I live about a quarter mile from each other. We have 4 sushi spots within a mile of my house.
Yeah.
4. There's one of them that is in the corner. It's not really publicized. And we went there the other night at 9:00 at night. And it's $20, all you can eat.
Oh, shoot.
Instead of like 32. If you go after 9, and I'm always hungry at the end of the night, and I'm like, you guys shouldn't have said this to me. Because now I'm going to be like, well, dude, it's $20. I can't turn it down. That's great. So
how's the sushi there?
It's good. It's just as good as Oishi or anywhere else.
You remember when you used to go to sushi places and you like no one would touch all you can eat because it was like
it was garbage.
Quality was
now it's not like that here. I mean,
I think a lot of them had to do that to stay in business.
Dude, you know what's crazy? Just think about when you were competing. If they had all you can eat, you would have went at $20.
I used to go to these, like they had a one in Orange County. It was like a buffet, so you had like everything, desserts and everything.
They had one of those in Florida.
Yeah, and you went up and picked the sushi. They would just make it and just pick it and go. And
they'd have the rolls out. You'd leave and you're like, geez, my blood pressure went up fucking 15 points.
The sodium and the salt.
Yeah. But that's my vice in life is I like to
You would
eat.
like to overeat.
Yes.
In a sitting.
And I the main reason I think that is when I was young, we didn't have a lot. And you always eat as much as you eat till it hurts. That's how it was.
You're supposed to walk away from the table hungry. That's what they say.
Well, whoever said that's a moron. No, you're supposed to be full when you walk away.
Health-wise,
Well, I'm not eating. I'm just eating because I enjoy it.
I eat for function.
No, we used to. I was always. It was one of those things where it was like your gas tank. If it's half empty, do you fill it up to 3/4 of the tank? No, you fill it to the top. Yeah. It's the same with food. You eat, and then once you're full, then you have one more plate, and that's how it always was. But I'm doing my best to eat less. The trifecta meat comes in 4-ounce packages. Yeah. So I purposely today, I've ate twice, and I've only will have 4 ounces of meat.
I thought it's 8 ounces, the packages.
Well, they have 2 of them.
Okay,
They're together. So if you do both of them, it's 8 ounces.
Okay.
But if you do one, it's 4.
Okay.
So I've been doing the 4 ounces and then like a cup of potatoes because potatoes go through my body better than rice does. So I've been doing that at least 3 times a day. And then, of course, I DoorDash once a day. I need to stop. Or I go have sushi.
What do you DoorDash?
Burritos.
From where?
Roberto's.
Oh,
No, they have a good one, though. It's just steak and
You hear
salsa.
that shit?
And it's not terrible. I don't put all the crap on it and cheese, like none of that.
Yeah.
It's just the burrito, meat, carne asada, and salsa. And that's it. And I eat 2 of them.
So you're fit for, what are you going to be, 45?
45.
Yeah, fit for 45. We're going to have to I'll see how mine goes. And then
No,
maybe we'll
that's not
kick yours
fair.
in.
No, what do you mean? This isn't a competition. I can barely lift my arm.
Let's talk about our schedule
So
coming up.
Here.
I have Nashville this weekend.
Yep, Nashville.
Which is the Music City Fit Expo. I'll be there all day Saturday. So this will be out by then. Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll probably put up tonight or tomorrow.
Okay, and then we have.
Well, this week the GNC is here in Vegas.
Yeah.
We'll pop in there and go say hi to everybody that's here in Vegas. You have Nashville, then we have
What's after that?
RiseCon.
RiseCon
is your next
mid-June.
actual booking mid-June in Tampa, Florida. That's you and Rick Ross and Vic Tippis and Magic
Goggins.
Johnson, David Goggins. There's a Grant Cardone. There's a whole slew of people at that. And then in July, we have the American Fitness Expo in Houston. The next weekend, we have the Fit Weekend in Mexico City. And then the weekend after that, we have
Fit Expo
in Anaheim. And then the next
Cutler Classic.
The Cutler Classic is the next
Virginia.
weekend. And then the weekend after that, we have Bucharest, Romania. Or not Bucharest, Cluj, I think, or Cluj in Romania for the Masters Olympia, where you're competing at. You just haven't announced it yet.
Well, I'm guest posing,
Oh, God. You don't want to see that either.
The shirt may come off because remember the thing. So Fit Expo weekend,
It's your birthday.
Anaheim, yes, but that's like that's going to be the end of the 12 weeks.
Should we film you at should you guest pose at that show? Maybe
Do they have a show?
I think
they have a muscle
there's
contest.
a muscle.
Yeah, that's
I
right.
told Regan, I was like, maybe you and Regan can guest pose. Father and son. How terrible would you look next to
How
Regan?
many weeks out is he? Well, he's forever weeks out.
Yeah, we're not going to say what shows he's doing, but he'll be in shape.
You think so?
Well, Regan, when he's dieting down, he doesn't really pull that.
We just know that
similar to
Regan
you.
has to compete before November.
Yes. No,
the first weekend of
Regan
November.
has shows that he's targeting. He will be in really good shape at that point.
Okay, August.
And he'll still probably be in the upper 280s, I would guess.
Okay.
Because he usually, it's weird. Like,
I don't know if I want to pose next to Regan.
no, you have to. We're gonna pressure this. We're gonna make this happen. I want you to be embarrassed. I want you to stand next to Regan.
He's supposed to be one of the elite in the world, and we've been talking about this forever. So
Yeah. I mean, look, when I was with him over the weekend, and it looks like, if I were to guess, I would say he's low 300s, 305 maybe, somewhere in that range. But he's lean. He's not like,
he's eating his meals.
Yes. And you can see, and for him, once he starts dieting, it's weird. His body weight stays the same, and he just gets leaner and leaner and leaner. And then that last 6 weeks, his body weight slowly starts coming down.
Because he's probably eating, off season. He's probably not as committed as when he trains. That's how I was too.
You'll see him. I'm sure he'll still be 285, 290, even a week or so, 2 weeks out from his show. So then we have, after that, then in September, I have a bunch of crazy stuff in September. Might be one more expo that we'll add you to. We just have to, next week when the promoter will be here in Vegas, I'll sit down with him and see if we can confirm it for you. And if that happens, we'll announce it. But other than that, you're going to be unfit at 49. You're going to be fit at 50. How does that feel when someone says to you, you're about to be 50 years old?
Yeah, I mean, when you're that person, thinking back, 20 years ago, I would have thought, wow, it's a big number, right? But I feel great.
Yeah.
I mean, I feel amazing. I mean, the workouts, like I said, have been great. I mean, my sleep pattern is good. I mean, I don't have any, luckily, health issues. So it's like, for me, I feel really, you know what it is? You get to an age and, people look at success in different ways, but when your life is fulfilled and you feel like, okay, I have purpose, and we talk about this, right?
Yeah.
doesn't matter how much money you have or, you know, how many great things you do and experience. If you feel like fulfillment, that's an important thing.
Yeah.
And I feel like I have a purpose every day. And, you know, I was doing cameos this morning when I was at the gym. I had 2 this morning that, you know, reached out, and it's like, I when I talk to the people and I, you know, send messages, it's like, this means so much to me because I never imagined me being that figurehead, and I need motivation. Like, I need motivation. I never imagined when I announced, hey, I'm going to do this body transformation. Like, it first started off as like, oh, Jay's going to compete, but it's more now, I want to follow your journey. I want to push you to be better, and I want to witness this, right? Because you just touch people's lives like that. Like, hey, maybe I should do this. Just like you. Like, you're like, man, I want to come along on the journey. I mean, we're around each other each day, and it's like, you're past being a fan of it. You just like, hey, you know what I need? If someone does this alongside of me, it's a lot easier.
Of course. You know what's weird even for me? Like, I mean, look, I have my shoulder injury came from a fall, and, you know.
And you had surgery, right?
I had surgery. I had 6 screws put in. They had to move my biceps tendon. And, I mean, I've had a hernia. I've had that repaired. I've had a transplant in my left eye, so my vision at times hurts. But outside of these injuries that I've had where I've needed to be surgically repaired, I feel pretty good. Like, I don't feel like, even though I'm 275 pounds, I don't feel like, I don't breathe crazy heavy. When I go to sleep at night, I feel okay. Like, even now, like, I feel comfortable. But I know if I came down to 240, I'm sure I'd feel amazing. And that's what I need to do. Because as you get older, there's no need. Like, we still go to the gym and train, and every once in a while I get the little ego lift.
Yeah, that's the one difference between you and I. Like, you like to
I'd like to lift weights.
Yeah,
yes.
See, I don't really have that mindset.
Like, we were at the gym the other day, and we put 275 on the bench press, and I did it 15 times still.
Yeah, some guy came up to me in the gym yesterday and said, hey, do you want to come bench with Stan Efferding and I? And I said, absolutely not, you know?
But it's like, deep down inside, I was like, shit, let me go to 315. You know, because I'm sure I could still do it 12 to 15 times. But because I want to do it, because I miss that feeling. I miss that feeling of moving the weight. It's not about other people seeing it. The fact that I know I can do it, but at some point you have to say the risk to reward ratio is not in my favor. Eventually something's going to tear, and then I'm out for how long? So I just have to not
just be a little smarter. Yeah, just be a little smarter.
I mean, like, even now, if I do incline, there's no need for me to go over 225. 225 is probably still too heavy.
But it's a good weight. Yeah, I don't do 225. I do 185.
But even at the end of it, I'll do 225, even now, for 20 to 25 reps. Yeah. And it's not like what I once did, but at least I can feel that little bit of a pump. Like, I still feel like, okay, I'm not the old guy in the gym, but I'm the older guy, but I can still move enough weight to be somewhat respectable, but it's not like it once was.
You know, when I finish and I'm sitting in this podcast and I have my shirt off and I'm like sitting here doing a podcast with my shirt off, you know, I'll be ready, you know.
Oh God.
I got to get the shine somehow, you know.
I just got to get I got to get into your Essaclean, and then I'll get I'll get my arms back up to 20 inches. But other than that, yeah, we'll have, I'm pretty sure we're going to have a guest come on Wednesday, because they confirmed it to me. They're going to be in town, which it'll be someone that
it's a banger. Yeah,
it's a banger, and it's someone that I've wanted to have on for a long time, just because I've watched their journey. You've watched their journey, and I've watched their journey from the stage to massive success outside of you know, in the industry, you know, with their brands and stuff. So it'll be I think it'll be one that the fans will really they'll really like this one. So, and we might have a couple other people that will get on this week too. But so we'll have some built up. We're going to have to build up some podcasts, because there's times where I'm looking on the schedule and I'm going, there's one point in particular where I'm like, I'm going to be gone for 2 weeks.
Yeah, I mean, I'd like to still kind of do some on-the-road stuff.
Even
if it's not like we're sitting with mics and stuff. I mean, if we're just in mics and we're sitting on a couch somewhere, it would be cool to do, you know?
Yeah, maybe we're in Romania. Maybe we can go to Count Dracula's castle. Maybe we can go shoot one in his castle. I guess it's like 3 hours from where we're going to
Pretty
be.
far, yeah.
I'm like, I'm not trying to drive anywhere.
It's Angie's bucket list,
Yeah, go sleep in the.
Yeah, I forget what it's called. There's actually a name.
There's
of it.
there's a name for it. But there's a.
Let the viewers or the listeners
go,
tell us what the name.
Go
of
list
that
the name
is.
of the castle.
I'll give you a free pre-workout.
Anything else you want to say?
No, that's it. That's it. So
well, we're done.
We appreciate you guys following along. Make sure you guys like, subscribe, follow, and let us know what you guys think. Who's going to scare?